My favorite combo is CJC 1295 with Ipamorelin or Ipamorelin, depends on how you want to say it. But those two work on fat burning and growth hormone, and they help you sleep better. They help you restore your skin health, your nail health. So if you have really brittle, fragile nails, they get super healthy in about 6 to 8 weeks. But we'll see just a natural fat to muscle transition over about a 4-month period where you could drop 3 to 4% body fat and add 3 to 4 pounds of muscle mass, doing nothing different, just that peptide.
I have Dr. AJ here with me today, and I'm excited to hear and talk to him about his practice. I'm actually one of his clients. Do you call, or your patient?
Yeah, client, patient, either one.
So I see Dr. AJ for pellets. I've been getting pellets, hormone replacement, and you can talk a little bit about the specifics of it. But when I was in California for about at least 2 years, I was getting pellets, and then here for 3.5. So I've been getting pellets for over 5 years, closer to 6, on a regular basis, because that's, how I think is most successful. And so I was seeing a different doctor here in St. George. I will tell you that I am completely happy that I changed. Dr. AJ is amazing. His facility and practice and the things he offers. Why don't you tell me a little bit about, your journey, where you're at, what you do, and
Yeah. First, thanks for having me on today. It's awesome to be here. Yeah, I'm AJ Rimmasch, and I'm a nurse practitioner. But a lot of people end up calling us doctors anyway, and heck, even pharmacists call us doctors. They call and say, "Hey, is Dr. Rimmasch there?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm a nurse practitioner, but sure." And we do about the same amount of work as far as what we do in a clinic setting. But yeah, I've been a nurse practitioner for just over 10 years, and really enjoy it. Love taking care of people, helping people out. But through COVID, like a lot of people, just got tired of what I was doing. And I really wanted to lean more into the natural, more functional side of health and help people get better and feel better. And hormones was something I was already doing in my clinic. And I just migrated towards that over the last 4 or 5 years. And it's been awesome. I really love it, and love helping people like you feel better and have the energy that they've been lacking.
So, okay, a little history. So when I was in California, there wasn't very many hormone doctors, and you would think there would be, because in California, maybe in SoCal, but I was in, the Bay Area, and I'd have to drive 2 hours to get my pellets, and then home 2 hours, right? So it was a big deal to do that every 3 months with your work, and and the blood work was about it was so expensive. First off, the pellets were over $500, and then the blood work they want you to get blood work done often, and I would go every year just because I didn't have the financial means to get blood work done regularly, and that was like another $600 to $900. And then, then there's all the other stuff that a woman has to do. So I came here, and I did go to another doctor for a couple years, and I got pellets, and it was a little less. The blood work was still $400, and the pellets were $450. And as you know, I went there for 2 years.
Right.
And then I came to you. And my blood work is what?
Anywhere from $100 to $175.
Yeah. So, which was really surprising. So that was amazing. And he did it in office. I didn't have to go to another clinic, which was the first time. And then the pellets were about like 400, right?
Yeah.
For the full thing. And, but what you discovered was my numbers were totally off, and I had just had blood work done. So it was so surprising. And you had me like pegged as like a 17-year-old on her period, like every day.
Correct.
And
I remember that. That was
for like
crazy.
three sessions. I didn't even get estrogen, right?
Zero
None.
estrogen.
And I was getting pumped full of it before, obviously. So,
and you've settled back down. Your numbers look a lot better now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm doing better. But yeah, so it makes a difference. I mean, if you're paying for something that you're wanting, the objective was not being met. It was actually working against me. So I appreciate, what you've done for me and the way I feel now. I used to always have to say, I'm sorry. And the white flag was out because, I was just moody or whatever. And I thought my age, but I feel so much better now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, unfortunately, your experience isn't an individual experience. Lots of people get that. And that's why pellets sometimes get a bad rap, is because people aren't doing them the right way. And hormone pellets, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy in general is really almost like an art. Like you really have to get good at it to help your patients succeed. Otherwise, they're going to struggle and have problems. And that's what I really try and do my best at, is help people feel great and not have the issues that you were experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And
totally.
I think being able to afford to get my blood work done. So now what I've done with Dr. AJ is I think we've been coming to you for at least a year now, right?
Yeah, getting really close. Yep.
Yeah, because I get the pellets every 3 months, and I think I'm on my 4th time. So every time, a week before I'd get my pellets, I'd come in. I can afford to get my blood work done because it's only like about $100.
Yep.
And then I would know what I needed when I showed up the following week. And over, a series of 3 sessions now, like we've gotten my numbers right where they need to be. And I feel like, I did in my 30s or whatnot. And I'm going to be 54 this year. So I feel like that's huge. And before it was like, how do you feel? Are you sleeping okay? No, I'm not sleeping. Like, okay, well, we'll give you a little more of this. The blood work is so necessary.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of frequent blood work and tracking biomarkers. It's so helpful, but it's also fun for the patient and for me to see measurable changes in blood work, and then put that into how the patient's feeling, how you're doing, and say, oh yeah, hey, your testosterone's in a good spot, your estrogen's in a good spot, everything's where it should be, and you're feeling good. So then we know that we're doing right. Yeah.
And as women, we usually feel good parts of the month, regardless of what age we are, and our bodies are not like as steady as they could be.
For sure.
A lot of factors there, but for women in particular, with our hormones, we just don't really know if it's just life or if it's what we're eating or if it's just stress or this or that. But when you do have your blood work done and you are getting it measured and you're supplementing with these pellets or whatever it is that, your preference, then you realize that it's like, okay, wait, there aren't that many factors out there that are going to cause me to have disruptions in, parts of the month. Like I'm pretty steady now. Like, just, I don't know. I just feel, it feels good. But tell me about the pellets, because is there 2 or 3, there's testosterone.
Yeah. So everybody's a little bit different in what they need. And for most women, it will be some low dose or micro dose testosterone, a little bit of estrogen as well. And then on occasion, we'll do a progesterone pellet, but a lot of times we'll do progesterone orally because that one can make you feel drowsy, and we don't want that all day with a pellet. We want it at night only. But yeah, really, the pellets are an awesome way to do hormone replacement therapy. They're bioidentical, which means that they're the same hormone match as what's in our body already. And the bioidenticals are plant-based, all natural. They're not synthesized in a lab. And that's why I'm a big fan of the bioidentical pellet. And they're so helpful for a lot of people. And we can usually get men and women dialed in pretty quick. Usually within 1 or 2 rounds, we have you right where we want you.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And so like people who are struggling that maybe already have like underlying like, semi like depression or anxiety or things like this. Do you see those kind of patients coming through and then some of those things getting worked out too?
Oh, for sure. Like probably one of the biggest symptoms that people come in with is they just don't feel themselves. They're like depressed or they're down, they want to sleep more, or they're overly anxious. And they say, that's just not who I am inside. I feel completely different. I have these problems going on. They're tired all the time. They're angry at people.
Irritable.
Very irritable. They've gone to their other doctor and the doc says, oh, your hormones look good. That's because they're not sure what they're supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And usually for women, they'll check an estrogen. They don't check any other hormone level in a traditional clinic. And yeah, sure, an estrogen can look good at any time, but really there's a lab normal and then there's an optimal level. And that's what we shoot for. And so, that's the number one symptom people come in with is they just don't feel great. They don't feel themselves. They feel down, like you're saying, depressed, anxious, and huge improvements in the way they feel, the way they sleep. Most of the time we see a huge reduction in anxiety in men and women with treatments, and even a huge improvement in depression. They want to get out and do things again. And instead of sit on the couch and watch a show or go to bed early, they want to get out and have fun again. And it's kind of fun to see that.
Which leads to even healthier, attributes like,
oh, sure.
That extra 5 pounds is no longer there because you're just doing things naturally. You're at the park with your kids or, walking your dog where before you just let him out in the backyard and like it's a real thing. Like this.
Yeah. Like even going to the gym again.
Yeah.
They say, I used to go to the gym all the time, but I haven't been in years and I just don't even want to go anymore. And we replace hormones and I see them back a month after we start and they say, oh, I've been to the gym every day since I came in. I feel so much better.
Or the opposite could happen, in the negative way where when you don't feel well, you don't just have anxiety or depression. You could lean on something like a prescription drug or alcohol or something, or a cookie, a sugar high, something that will help you get that hit again because you are feeling low or you're not feeling like yourself. And then all of a sudden a habit comes about that you didn't necessarily have before, but you didn't have this imbalance in your hormones. But now you're like, oh, but this solved it. I had a cookie and I feel a little bit better. And the next thing you know, you're overweight or you're drinking too much.
Oh, yeah.
So having your hormones in check, I feel like is so important for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Hormones are like your foundation in your life, in your body. And when your hormones are dysregulated and they're all over the place, they're too low, they're too high, you're not doing well. Your dopamine levels in your brain, your norepinephrine levels, serotonin, the production of those key hormones is completely altered. And that's where people will lean on a cookie or something that's going to give them a little dopamine hit, a little gratification, or drugs. Same thing happens there, is they'll start leaning on things that will give them temporary benefit, but then leads to further problems down the road because those habits really drive in hard when they're bad habits like that. And so foundational support of hormones really helps us to maintain all the hormones in our body. I've seen even thyroid improvements when we fix estrogen and testosterone and progesterone, and they start feeling better and their metabolism starts working better just because we fixed their foundational hormones. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And we'll get off this topic onto another one here in a minute, but one last little piece is the progesterone. We've been trying to get me on progesterone. I could use more, but I feel like it makes me like everything. It's like my body just kind of, and they say it's temporary, but I haven't been able to stay on it long enough to get through some of the side effects, like feeling bloated, feeling like, and excuse me for saying so, but my breasts just are so big that I feel fat, and then my shirts don't fit and everything. I'm popping out. But having that progesterone level right actually helps the other parts, right? It's like a piece to the puzzle.
Get that every once in a while. We'll get a female that just doesn't tolerate progesterone, and we do our best to help out, right? And if that doesn't work out, then it doesn't for the time being. And we'll revisit that later again, and we'll try a very low microdose treatment to try and get you back on those, because progesterone is very protective for the uterus, for women that still have a uterus. It's great because it helps to prevent uterine cancer when on estrogen treatments. Now, bioidentical already comes with a much, much lower potential for that already. And so then it's not as big of a risk. But the other benefits of progesterone, a lot of women sleep better. They tend to have, a happier disposition about them. It even works well for some men too. We do microdose progesterone for men for the same reason. Like their progesterone levels will go too low and they won't sleep at all. And sometimes we can just give them a little bit of progesterone and they'll do better. Their mood will improve too. But yeah, some people can't take it, and we do our best.
I mean, they can, but the minimal side effects, so they stop. They meaning me. And so I talked to my daughter-in-law, and she also was like, "Yeah, same here." And then I broke out, but I want to be able to have that, so you were mentioning that there was a cream, and I probably should start trying
at a very,
that.
very low dose, or even some sublingual drops we could try and just.
And I'm all for sleeping at night. So if it can help me sleep, that's great. Just as long as it doesn't make me fat or bloated feeling. Yeah,
too much for sure. Because it is a metabolism enhancer to a point, but it does that because it actually increases sometimes your hunger, which is a way that your body metabolizes more. And so sometimes if you get too much progesterone, you actually eat a little more. So you have to be careful with it. And that's why we want to really dial those numbers in on the blood work.
Yeah.
And make sure we're in a good spot and not too much.
Well, I really appreciate that your blood work is affordable, because that has made all the difference for me.
Oh, for sure. I'm so big in helping. I want to help people feel better.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't want it to be a financial hindrance for people in that sense. And so if we can get blood work at an affordable price and still do these treatments, great. It's awesome. I'm super happy that we have that available at those rates.
Yeah, that was one of the first things you said to me. It was like, I want everybody, regardless of how much money they make, to be able to afford to feel good.
Yeah.
And that was the first visit with you. And I was like, okay, I like this guy. You do other things in your office.
Yeah.
Like things for hair thickness. And what are some of the other popular procedures and reasons why patients come into your office?
Yeah. Right now it's weight loss. Everybody wants to lose a little bit of weight. The weight loss shots, semaglutide, tirzepatide are super popular. tirzepatide's a little bit in limbo right now because of the FDA. We may or may not have it anymore soon, but I have a great compounding pharmacy that I work with, and so I'm hoping that we can keep it for a little longer.
Is that one more is?
It's more effective with
Okay.
less side effect. People don't get sick or nauseous on it at all.
So why is that one being called out?
The people that make the brand name of it, Mounjaro is the brand name. Eli Lilly is the pharmaceutical company, the manufacturer. They are promising everybody that they have enough supply to handle all the demand in the country, but they don't. They're so far backlogged. Some of my regular clients get prescriptions for their diabetes and they can't get it, and so there's not enough available. But they're trying to say there is, and that's why we might lose the compound in the next few months.
Why would we lose the compound? Because they have plenty to
Yes.
supply, so
So-
the compound isn't necessarily needed.
The only reason we have the compound is because there was an emergency shortage, and the FDA cleared all the compounding pharmacies to make it because it's still under patent in that sense. And so they allowed us to do that, and we get it, and it's great. We're helping a lot of people lose weight, but we might lose it. But yeah, those are really popular right now. We do it quite a bit different than just saying, here's your prescription, take the shots and see you later. We do it in more of a concierge approach. We sit you down, we do a body scan, we check your body fat percentage and say, this is how much you can lose. And then we go over diet and meal planning and help you put together a daily nutrition plan and do frequent follow-up. And that's what helps.
Yeah.
It's not just taking the shots. The shots are a great cheat, right? It's a great way to just lose weight. But if you just take the shot, you're going to lose a lot of muscle. And we don't want that. Upwards, I've seen reports of upwards of 50% of your weight loss is muscle, which is horrible for these people that need to lose 50, 80 pounds and half of it is muscle. There goes their metabolism. It's terrible. Our clients are losing 10% of their muscle mass with our program, and it's been great. That's even better than standard traditional weight loss if you're just doing caloric restriction. And so we have a really good outcome with our clients for weight loss. And that also helps me enjoy my job too. When people come in and say, "Oh, I'm down 70 pounds since February," right? That's life changing for some people to drop 40, 50, 60, 70 pounds.
Yeah, and the product isn't that expensive. I remember asking you how much it was at one point.
Yeah.
And it was for a month's supply about...
Yeah, so the semaglutide has actually come down a little bit in price now. So we do $200 for your first month. And then depending, we have a couple coupons out throughout town. You can get a little bit better deal. So check those out, like Green Pages or Dixie Direct, a couple other books. But usually it's about $300 a month on the semaglutide. Tirzepatide is a little more expensive, but it is much more effective. They'll range from $400 to $500 a month, just depending on which dose you're on as we get up into the higher doses. But
And you have it in your office and...
Yep, we have office stock of this product, and we do in-home shots, and we do have an at-home program, but we still require frequent follow-up, so you can still give your shots at home, but then still come in every 2 to 3 weeks to do your checkups.
And I've seen I've been on it myself, the body scan, and it's a really neat machine that measures everything, like your body weight, how much water you have in your body, your arms, your legs, the whole thing. And it's quite interesting. I realize I'm not drinking enough water every time I get on that thing. I'm like, I really still...
Yeah, water's a challenge for a lot of people. Even myself, I drink a lot. Like I'm at least a gallon per day, and I try to incorporate electrolytes as well. But but most of us are very dehydrated. And that's a great way to measure it, to help us understand where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you have the shots, which they are very popular. I mean, I remember 10 years ago thinking, why can't there just be a shot? And we all,
For sure.
And it's here, and it's very widely popular. And I know a lot of people have lost weight on it. But I've seen some other interesting looking machines in your office. Tell me about those.
Yeah, we have a couple other cool tools and devices in our office. We have a Alma TED that is needleless hair restoration, similar to PRP, but without the injections. So there's no needles in your scalp. It doesn't hurt at all, and it really does help hair regrow. We've had 40 or 50 people come through in the last 6 months doing hair, and we see great results within a couple weeks. Like your hair stops falling out, right? And that's a big issue with a lot of women, is the shed, and you'll go back down to less than normal hair loss daily, which is really cool. And then after two-ish months, you'll start seeing those little flyaways come out at your part that, sometimes you hate, but when you're trying to regrow hair, it's a good thing to see. But yeah, at the end of our treatments at, 4 to 5 months, you really see noticeably thicker hair. Your current hair is thicker and you have new hair growth, which is really neat. We have that. We have a Panoe metabolic analyzer, so we can deep dive into your metabolism and see what's going on. So if you're having some metabolic dysregulation, you're like, I just can't lose weight. We're doing shots, nothing's moving. We can do a deep dive into that metabolism and see, are you a carb burner or are you a fat burner? And get an exact number of how many calories per day you burn, and what you're burning.
So, so different people are different, like as far as like,
Yep.
For me, I remember, and I lost a lot of weight, like close to 100 pounds, but I went on the Atkins diet, and that was 20 years ago. And
For sure.
I lost so much weight. It was unbelievable. Like and it worked great. But then, So are you saying some people that's not necessarily going to work for them?
It might not help them. And that's why there's so many diets out there, and some people are successful at others, is because of the different body types and different ways that people burn calories. And this machine helps us to analyze it and understand it. It gives us about 20 to 25 additional biomarkers outside of blood work, just through your breath. It's really neat.
Do they have to prep and like fast for a day before they do that or anything?
Just overnight. We do, no food for about 10 hours, which is pretty easy. Go from like 9 o'clock at night until 9 o'clock in the morning. That's 12.
Yeah.
And then this is the hard one for a lot of people. No caffeine for 10 hours. At nighttime, easy. Waking up, that's a little
Getting
tough
to
for
your
some
office.
people.
Some people need that morning
They
caffeine.
want that, that morning coffee or morning something to get going, or a pre-workout to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And we do no caffeine for about 8 to 10 hours as well to do this test. But then that helps us to fully understand the metabolism. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I would like to try that out. So then I would know, because I think over years, like our body changes every 7-10 years. Like what worked for us 7 or 10 years ago doesn't work for us now. I think it adjusts and changes, and so I don't necessarily like. I did great with the low carb thing for a long time, and then I switched it up and went on a more of a Mediterranean, vegetable, and that worked out great too. And I felt like I had, was glowing more. I was getting those nutrients and those vitamins that I needed. So yeah, I'd love to come in and try that out and see what the results are. It's just so fascinating.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it is. You have a great job.
I like numbers and number crunching with people. It's pretty enjoyable. But yeah, that's another tool that we have in the office. And, a couple other things that we do. I really like to do some deep dive blood work with people. We do some functional testing with our blood work that tests 100 biomarkers in your bloodstream. And we can really catch a lot of different deficiencies and help people understand what their body's doing in different ways. Check for key inflammatory markers. A lot of people complain about gut health. Sometimes we can catch things on this deep dive blood work to help with their gut. So we do quite a bit of that as well, like with the blood work, and we'll dig into it and really try and understand where people are coming from and how they're feeling and why they're feeling that way, and help them feel better again, be it via hormones, weight loss, or maybe it's nutritional deficiencies or gene mutations that we can help them overcome, or even just gut health and gut restoration. There's
a lot of that going on with the gut, and the gut is where, a lot of it is starts and
there's a gut brain axis.
Mm-hmm.
And when our gut health is out of sync, we can feel foggy and not feel well. Really easy sign for people is that if they eat and they immediately bloat up and then they just feel tired, there's something going on with their gut health that's not right. And these things lead to like insulin resistance. And then insulin resistance will lead to other metabolic conditions.
If not treated over time.
Yeah. And
that can become an actual.
They'll get diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. All those are associated with chronic disease and illness, heart attack, stroke, Alzheimer's. They just came out with a study showing that the weight loss shots, semaglutide, tirzepatide, is actually helping to reduce Alzheimer's symptoms. And we believe that's because we're reducing the insulin resistance in people and reducing that overall sugar burden in the bloodstream. And that's why people are feeling better. They're thinking better, thinking more clearly. And so those are things that we like to work on as well in the clinic. And those are definitely a little bit more time intensive, and much more challenging in a way, because these people they've been struggling for potentially years and can't get the answers they want. And so they're hard, but they're fun.
Yeah. Fun, especially when you see like,
really
okay,
neat.
It's here on the paper. This is why, and we can do something about this.
Yeah. Most biomarkers we can change. Like we can do things in our lifestyle, in our diet, hormones, something. We can fix those biomarkers and make big changes in the way people feel.
Wow. And so people that have been, dealing with that for a long period of time, it could be life-changing. Not even
100%.
thinking that there was a solution to that. Because a lot of people just, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Because you go to your traditional doctor and they are not seeing these things. They're not educated in this manner. And, doctors know what they know. They're a surgeon for this, maybe they're an orthopedic surgeon. They're not doing what you do.
And they're great.
They're great.
If you
but
have
it's a
big
different
problem,
field.
If you have a big problem, they're going to do a good job for you. If you need to go to the ER, you need to have emergency surgery. They do a fantastic job, right? But when they check your blood work, they're checking 10, 20 biomarkers. And what they know is if it's within the normal parameters for the lab, then it's okay. Then you're not dying, right? And that's all they care about. They care about you, right? And they hope that you figure out what's going on, but they can't tell you based off of 10 or 20 biomarkers in the blood work what's going on, right? And they don't have the time because there's so many sick people in this world nowadays that they're always chasing an illness and handing out another pill to help with symptoms from some type of disease. And so they just don't have time to take a deeper look into what's going on. So that's where clinics like mine,
A specialty clinic.
come into play. It's like we want to take that time with people. We'll spend an hour, hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes with people to get to know them, understand what's going on, walk through a potential game plan, and put together what it's going to look like over the next 4 to 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and really try and help people get better. And that's why we're quite a bit different than a standard clinic.
Yeah, I think there's, everybody has their specialty.
Yeah.
And so you have your son who's needs his knee or ankle, surgery, you go to an orthopedic doctor. If you have, if you need an attorney for your horse, there's a horse attorney.
Sure.
You are a specialist at, the internal hormone, gut health. You have, the weight loss that also ties in with all of the things that are going on in our body. I mean, there's just the internal part of our body. For a few years, I did study a lot about, I was getting my telomeres tested.
Oh, sure.
Do you do that too?
I have a clinic that we work with that we do stem cell treatments, but we're actually going to be merging that into my clinic soon. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yay.
Yep.
So I had my telomeres tested, and so it's the tiny end caps of your DNA, and I was 14 years younger internally.
Yep.
And that was super exciting, right? And but first I did, so I did a 1 year on no sugar, no carbs, no sugar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was 2017, I think. And I would sit in the sauna and listen to YouTube and Dr. Rhonda Patrick and, some of my favorites. And I did that for a full year, and my telomeres regrew. And so it was just astonishing to me, and I'd heard. And so that was a great year. My body felt amazing. And so once you know something and then you go against it, it's like your mind, I know I could do better right now. I'm not necessarily, I'm not as healthy as I was then, but there's all these, these sirtuins, and I studied about the sirtuins and the NAD and I get, NAD pushes at the IV clinic. And I think that's something that you said that, you have available.
Do. Yep.
So all of these things, it's just so fascinating and interesting.
Yeah, we could talk for hours if we really wanted to dig into it. I mean, there's so much in the longevity world, trying to help people feel better, live longer, live healthier. There's just so much, and I love to study and research it. I go to medical conferences where we see the latest and greatest in this longevity world, and it's just fun.
Like the fountain of youth is like, for me, when I saw my telomeres regrow because I got rid of inflammation, and inflammation is the number one hit to our telomeres. And inflammation is, all that bad stuff. I was like, wow, that's like the fountain of youth. I literally turned back
the clock.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's not funny. It's kind of sad because, I think about cancer patients and cancer is just such an ugly word, in my life and in history. And yet I've been to some cancer fundraisers, and it's everything on the table is sugar, the cookies. And I'm like, this is causing cancer. It's like sugar is a huge inflammation, and I've kind of given into it lately and stopped being on that bandwagon, because I used to say, no, that causes inflammation. And now I've got a lot of aches and pains in my body, and I know I'm full of inflammation, and it's not just the sugar. I've got other things, but sugar is one of the ones that I cut out. Like if I can cut out some of them.
None of us are perfect.
No.
Right? And
I mean, I have my things that I do still.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out what you can cut out of your life that causes inflammation, and put more things into your body that are anti-inflammatory, like the berries and the and the greens and things like that. But But yeah, no, I think there is there is the fountain of youth is out there, and it's through things like this.
Yeah, through learning about your body, right? And how your body's working and reacting to certain substances like sugar. Back 50, 60, 70 years ago, people ate sugar. It's just not in the quantities that we eat sugar now, right? And they had much less cancer back then. And you can't put causation on it, but it seems to trend the same direction. The more sugar we eat, the more cancers we see. And there's obviously other environmental factors, and cancer is terrible, like you're saying, but there are ways.
But it's also alcohol turns to sugar, bread turns to sugar. It's all, it's
Everything,
not
yeah.
necessarily granulated sugar. It's fruit. You can have too much fruit with the other things that you're having. I mean, a large Jamba juice at 800 calories and, 70 grams of sugar, and people are like, it's fruit. I'm like, but still,
yeah,
it could be too much.
And fruit's great, but you can't eat as much fruit as you can put into a blender and mix into a shake, right? There's no way I could eat a whole mango and a banana and an apple and 10 grapes all in one sitting. But I sure as heck can drink it in 10 minutes, right? Easy.
Yeah.
You couldn't eat it all. You'd eat one banana and maybe half an apple and you'd be full, right?
So Balance in Nature, that makes me want to ask you about that. What do you think of Balance in Nature? Because it's got all your fruits and vegetables in those capsules.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a good product?
I think the concept is there. Do I know if there's enough of that freeze-dried fruits and vegetables in each capsule? I don't know. I think it's a great add-on for sure, but it's not a substitution for eating fruits and vegetables. We still need to eat those.
Yeah.
And again, still in the right amounts. Like you shouldn't be devouring, 10 apples a day and 5 bananas. Just eat the right amounts of fruits and vegetables, because they're still carbs, right? And we always overeat carbs, on a daily basis, almost every American, except some of those very strict carnivore folks, right?
Which is,
they don't eat too many.
No, no, and they're strong and they have a lean muscle mass.
Yeah, but there's still a place for healthy vegetables and some fruits. I think we should all have the right amount of vegetables. I think they're very, very important. They have lots of good qualities, antioxidants, fibers that are great for us, just in the right amounts.
Yeah. So back to that one testing that you had, that you could tell if somebody was, more tolerant to fat or carbs.
Sure.
Does that help dictate like how much or how little or what you should be or shouldn't be eating, or what your body, digests better than others?
Yes, it does. And our goal with that testing, though, is to create a better fat burning environment for everybody, because we all should be better and more exceptional fat burners at rest. We shouldn't be sitting here burning carbohydrates. We should be sitting here burning fats. And that's what we do with this test, is we actually will create a meal plan based off of it. I have some highly specialized dietitians that I work with this PNOE system, and we'll put together a 12-week meal plan that will convert your body into a very exceptionally fat burning machine. Right? You'll just burn fat, and you'll still be eating some carbs, and you'll still be eating some fats, and you'll still be eating proteins, but your body in general turns into this excellent fat burning machine, and it's really neat.
Does that require like adjusting your hormones too sometimes?
Again, hormones are your foundation.
Okay.
Right? We always want to address those and make sure they're dialed in, because if we don't fix those, a lot of other things just don't work right. Like we could get you into a good position, but if your hormones aren't in a good spot, then you won't be a great fat burner. You'll be a good fat burner, but you won't be a great fat burner in your metabolism. We can help you lose weight, but you'll lose more if your hormones are in check, right?
So everything will be optimal.
Yeah.
For everything to be optimal, your hormones, first and foremost, have to be in good standing.
And that's why I call it a foundational treatment. Is it something you just have to have dialed in if we want everything else to really, really, kill it. You want to do good.
I love it. Wow. And what else do you guys do? I know you have a couple other things going on. I see like muscle and.
So we do IV therapy.
Okay.
And that's one that I don't announce to the world that I do IV therapy. We usually keep it more in-house with our current clientele. And I've been dabbling in some other treatments via IV therapy, like L-carnitine, which is a key amino acid for fat metabolism and fat transportation to the liver from metabolism. So we do the IV therapy, and then the other one that we market and talk about a little bit, but I kind of keep it more in-house, is peptides. Mm-hmm. Semaglutide and tirzepatide are peptides. Mm-hmm. But that's not the peptides I'm talking about. I'm talking about restorative, regenerative peptides. I'm talking about growth hormone peptides, other peptides for libido enhancement. And we do quite a bit of that as well, but mostly in-house and a little bit of marketing just to let people know. But they're kind of in this shady gray area with the FDA, and some of them are okay to be using, and some of them have been put on the FDA banned list. And so we don't have a lot of them available anymore, but things like BPC 157. Have you heard of that one?
I've taken that one many years ago.
Yeah.
And
did you do injection or
the injections at home?
Yep.
And so, and it helps heal your body. And like if you've got, injuries or cuts or whatever, I mean, they would just heal so much faster.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And ligament injury, tendon injuries, we see huge improvements with that as well. I had a gentleman that endoed on his mountain bike and took a handlebar to his ribs, separated his rib, and bruised his liver. His liver enzymes were through the roof. I mean, it looked like he had a severe illness. They were so high. And we did BPC 157 with him. And within 2 weeks, he was feeling better. His liver enzymes were almost back to normal, which is almost unheard of. Usually they're 4 to 6 weeks, 8 weeks before we see huge reductions. And it was just in 2 weeks. So pretty cool stuff. It's all clinical and anecdotal. It's, we're seeing this happen. So there's not a lot of human double-blind trials on this, but it works. Like I've seen it and it works. There's others. Well,
there probably wasn't that on, the COVID shot either.
Yeah.
And people are taking it. So,
and it's not as effective as BPC 157. Like I see the shot and sure, initially it might have done some help. It might have prevented some death in people, but now it's not super effective. But anyways, back to peptides, right?
Yeah, peptides.
There's a TB500, which is another regenerative peptide that's great. We see that, combination with BPC 157, we see great results in healing and recovery. For knee injuries, hip injuries.
I've got a hip injury.
Shoulder pain.
I need to come in for that.
Yeah.
I need to get back on that for sure.
They're pretty cool.
It's better than, so there's total replacement, which is what I'm looking into. There's stem cell, right? Yeah. And then there's the peptides.
There's peptides and even PRP for the hip joint. I like stem cell.
Is that an injection too? The PRP? Yeah. I feel like the injections is always the way to go. It's just, just metabolizes, it gets there, it's quicker, faster, stronger.
Yeah.
I mean, you could a cream or anything else.
The injectables were bypassing the GI system and metabolism through the liver, and we just don't get as much. There are some things that we can orally absorb well, but these peptides, they do really well via injection.
Yeah, get right into.
Yeah, it's like NAD plus, right? That's the same way as like our body destroys it through the GI system, but if we do it in IV or injectable, we actually get it all, and it's really good for you.
Yeah,
but,
I love getting my NAD pushes.
Yeah,
so much cool stuff has come out in the last really 10 years, but people are starting to recognize it just in the last 3. And I love that you make it affordable. I love how easy it is to get into your office and just, get these procedures. And I've learned more today. I didn't know that you had those peptides. So are they going away? Did I hear you just say that?
Some of them are kind of, we're losing them, and others are actually coming back. We just got CJC 1295 back. I don't know. Have you heard that one?
I've heard that one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We had a
Why did
really
it come back?
I don't know. They took it off the market for a minute. I think one of the big pharmaceutical companies was considering doing some research on it. And, they have great, powerful lobbyists, and they've made laws in the FDA and in their government in general. If it's going to be researched, it shouldn't be available in the open market. And so they take it away from us when they're researching it. But I think they put it on pause. So it came back available like 2 weeks ago. So
I need to make an appointment.
My favorite combo is CJC 1295 with Ipamorelin or Ipamorelin, depends on how you want to say it. But those two work on fat burning and growth hormone, and they help you sleep better. They help you restore your skin health, your nail health. So if you have really brittle, fragile nails, they get super healthy in about 6 to 8 weeks. But we'll see just a natural fat to muscle transition over about a 4-month period, where you could drop 3 to 4% body fat and add 3 to 4 pounds of muscle mass, doing nothing different, just that peptide. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah,
I'm so excited. I'll be calling you right when we leave to get it on the calendar.
Yeah. But there's some really, there's a lot of cool peptides. There's some mitochondrial health peptides that help restore mitochondrial function and improve ATP production. So that's energy and how we move, right?
Yeah.
It's through ATP. And so there's a few peptides for that. There's a few peptides for immune system, for hormone health to kind of jumpstart our natural hormone production. I use that more in younger people that, maybe in their 20s or early 30s that have some hormone dysregulation. The peptide world is cool.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
I've been away from it for a while. I don't know why. I've kind of just, it's kind of just not become anything. Like I used to have a whole, thing, and I did feel amazing, and I contribute me not feeling quite as amazing because I'm not as rigid, on all the things, but I should introduce them back into my life.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
And again, it's all about helping people feel their best and get to that high level of optimization in their body and just feel good.
Yeah.
And great, and just want to attack life.
Yes.
It's fun.
Elevate.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Well, a little bit about you. I know you have 2 twin boys.
Yeah.
That recently started driving that
Crazy.
may or may not have gotten to a little fender bender.
Yep.
And you obviously have a lovely bride.
Yeah. I have 6 kids actually.
Okay.
Ranging from 19 down to almost 4.
Wow.
So busy at home. And my wife does a good job. Her name's Cammie. And she's just busy at home, full-time job at home, taking care of these kids and going to sporting events and transporting kids. And some of my kids just got back from state cross country, and then my daughter's got a swim meet this weekend, and
always something.
other kids have other sporting events. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I bet your weekends are probably like, okay, I'll do this sport, you do that sport. We'll meet for lunch and then trade. And
I did have this Saturday off, though. It was really nice. Finally, last Saturday. Yeah, it's been fun.
I heard something on the radio today. It was like a stand up, and he says, yeah, you always know when you ask an old person what they do over the weekend and they say nothing and they're gleaming, and old, I'm sure he meant by parents, me, you.
Yep.
I don't feel old, but yeah. Having nothing to do on a day is rare.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. And you say old, old is relative. I think back to when I was younger, or like I watch TV shows of people back in the 70s and 80s, and they were age 50 back then, and they look old.
Yeah.
And then I look at 50 now, and 50 doesn't look old. Like, sure, I'm 43, right? But 50 doesn't look that old anymore.
It doesn't.
Visually.
Right. Like, you never know what's going on, inside, but typically what's happening inside, translates to outside.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, there's just so many ways and discoveries about how we can take care of ourselves and our health. And, people smoked a lot back then, and,
yep.
No sunscreen, no seatbelts. I mean, we've come a long way.
Sure. And some of these things are really good, right? Getting rid of cigarettes is fantastic. And, protecting yourself from excessive sun exposure is good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's used to say smoking may cause cancer. And now I don't know if I just saw a sign, a billboard says smoking causes cancer. There's no may. It does.
Yep.
And I don't know if anybody's know this, but a pack of cigarettes is like $10. I saw that the other day and I was like, what? And people smoke a pack a day? What is going on? So yeah,
they go to Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Pick up a couple cartons for cheap.
Yeah. Around here, they go to like the Indian place. They're cheaper there, I guess.
At the Shivwitz gas station?
I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I get gas on my way to Cedar, and there's an Indian reserve place that's like 30 cents cheaper than Maverick for gas. So I stopped there. And they sell the cigarettes. And so
at the Hamilton Fort station? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's where I saw the price. I'm like, oh my word, how do people do it?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, so is there anything else that we should know about you and your family, or anybody that like helped you get to where you're at or contributed to, you looked up to as a kid or even now?
Yeah. I mean, how I got to where I am, I can, completely attribute to my wife. Aww. Right? When I was a young college kid, like I just wanted to have fun. My initial plan a long time ago was to be a weatherman. I love the weather. But as I got into college, I was like, I don't know if I like school. I think I'm going to be a beach bum and ski patrol. I'll do winter ski patrol and then hang out at the beach as a lifeguard in the summer. And that was my plan. And
For how long was that your plan?
Probably close to a year. And I was ready to pull the trigger. And then I met my wife. And she straightened me out, got me back on track, and said, hey, I think
how
you should make
do
something
that?
With your life. I don't know.
By making you fall in love with her and then
so
influencing you. She's
very rational in her decision making. And sometimes I pull the trigger too quickly on things like that, And so, yeah, she's very, keeps me grounded and down to earth a lot. And so she helped me kind of decide. She said, you're good at this. You should help people. And I started a nutrition pathway in school. I ran a nutrition vitamin store for about 4 years.
What school was that?
At SUU and Utah Valley first. And then I had applied to start the master's program of nutrition at BYU. Luckily, I didn't get in because I couldn't have done it just nutrition. I would have been so bored. just telling people what to eat and helping them eat better, right? And it just progressed into, oh, maybe you should do the path that your brother-in-law does. And so I followed him a little bit and saw how much he loved his job as a nurse practitioner, helping people. And so I immediately went into nursing. Loved it. I love nursing. If you've ever been in the hospital, had to stay the night over the hospital, you love your nurse because they take care of you. And obviously there's a couple here and there that aren't great, but for the most part, your nurse is your go-to, right? You need something, you need help, you know who to call. You call the nurse. And you think of your life like outside of everything. Oh, do you know a nurse? And you have a medical problem, you're calling a nurse, right? And it's been great. And it's helped me get to know a lot of people, get to talk to people all the time. But ultimately, my plan was to be a nurse practitioner to where I could actually make changes in people's lives. And I'm glad it's progressed to where I am now. Probably over the last 6 or 7 years, I've really transitioned from traditional medicine into this more holistic, integrative approach where we blend functional medicine with traditional medicine and really help dial people in and get them feeling better. And it's been such a good journey for me to change and get to that point where I love my job again. There was a few years where, especially at the beginning of COVID, where we were seeing 60, 70, 80 patients a day that were just sick. And I was ready to throw in the towel and just be done and go back to construction, building houses, just to get away from it all. And I'm glad that I didn't. I'm super happy where I'm at, and it's just been good. And
your wife encouraged you all when you would get to those crossroads where you're like, okay, I was enjoying it, but now it doesn't seem like it's as enjoyable anymore.
Yeah.
And she just kept helping you navigate to the...
come home from work and, normally I would like go out and hang out with the kids and do stuff. And I just didn't want to do it. She could see the kind of the depression set in from being unhappy at work. And to the point that we even made a move. I'm from St. George. I grew up here 20 years of my life, moved away for school, moved away for a good job. And the town we were in just wasn't ready for what our clinic offered. And with Cammie, we jointly made this decision to move home. We upped and sold everything. We had a great life in Vernal, Utah.
Yeah.
We had a great life. I had a home, and I had a rental home that I was renting out for people. It was great.
But you weren't that happy.
Well,
because
happy.
What you had to offer wasn't something, there wasn't a need or a desire there. This is a much bigger city. There's a lot of people that are very health conscious here.
Yeah. And that was some of it, is like the population's greater. People in St. George are driven to be better and be healthier. And it's home as well. So that was a big plus. The downside was it was much more expensive to come here. So all of our savings that we had built up to start this business, disappeared quickly. But thank the Lord, we've been very blessed being here in St. George. And our
You
business,
opened your practice how long ago?
We've been open just over a year now.
And guess what? You got best of. You got the best of award, right?
Within 6 months, under 6 months, we got best of St. George or Southern Utah in men's health, the silver award this year.
Yeah.
But
quickly though.
Yeah,
I mean,
under 6 months.
Yeah.
And so I'm hopeful that maybe we can do a little bit better this year, as we've helped more and more people. But yeah, so we've been greatly blessed in this community. The community has supported us wonderfully. I love it here, and
you're not one of a kind in your services. I will say that there are.
Oh, there's several of us here.
Yes, and so for you to, obviously you're doing something right, because there are offices out there, and you grew fast and you became, like in the top of your service quick.
Yeah.
And
I like to think I am, for sure. And I feel like we provide an exceptional experience in our clinic that sets us apart, right? We very much wine and dine our clients and keep them feeling good and help them any way they can. I don't like to say this a whole lot, but like our messaging service on our website, like I see that at 8:00 at night. And if it's one of my current clients, I'm responding to my current clients at 8:00 at night. Because we want you to feel like we know you and we want to take care of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're so grateful for the community. It's been wonderful, and we're not going anywhere. We're doing great. Business is growing. I'm not going to like continue to add service after service after service to try and make more money. We're focused on these few key services in longevity to help people get better and feel better.
Yeah, and you'll keep learning because the services that you have, the growth there and the experiments and the things that they're doing, and you keep educating yourself. And I'm sure you're going to conventions and whatnot. So, I mean,
yeah, I have one next month that I'll be gone for a few days. There's always some really fun ones I want to go to. There's, Hawaii conventions.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's go to Hawaii and,
yeah.
Learn a little bit more and see what other people are doing and that are successful and in the same field.
Same realm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun.
Good. I'm glad to hear that you're like sticking to what you're passionate about. You're not trying to just do anything that people are into right now.
Yeah.
This isn't a fad. This is something that is, long-term and for your health.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, it's been fun. I really enjoy it. I sometimes you'll get me on a topic and I just start blabbering because it's so fun for me. I just love it.
Yeah, I do too. Back in the day when I was really diving deep and talking to people about, mitochondria biogenesis and how, that's induced by, hormesis and like putting your body under so much stress, it like actually fixes
at the right times.
Yes.
Yeah, the right amount. And
that's why the cryotherapy and the heat therapy, and
I mean, we could do a whole podcast on mitochondria.
Probably could. Yeah.
They're fun.
Yes.
Something we could talk about later too would be like methylene blue. I don't know. Did you ever dive into methylene blue? Yeah.
No.
So yeah, maybe at a future time we can chat.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty neat too.
What's that? Just give me a snapshot of what the benefit is.
So quickly, methylene blue was the very first prescription ever written in the U.S. back in the 1800s. What it was, its original intent is to actually oxygenate your red blood cells. It will actually help pull carbon monoxide and other chemicals and poisons off of your red blood cells and reoxygenate them. And so it helps to oxygenate your body better. But methylene blue is actually one of several pathways the mitochondria uses to create ATP. So we actually can optimize our mitochondria through that. But at higher doses, it actually helps with mold illness. People that have mold toxicity, we can help clear the mold out of their body. It helps clear heavy metals as well. It can be a nootropic for a lot of people, where if they take a low dose methylene blue with a small amount of caffeine, it augments the benefits. You can think clearer, see better. I mean, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, we'll have to dive into that one too.
That's a ton.
Yeah, I'll be Googling that later.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, awesome. Thank you. So where can people find you?
Yeah, so it's Copper Rock Clinic. We're right downtown, 400 West, and it's 140 North, 400 West. This is terrible, but it's next door to Great Harvest Bread.
Mm-hmm. And the cell phone place.
And Zag, the cell phone store. You'll walk into my office and it might smell like cinnamon rolls. I'm sorry. And it can be hard some days. to avoid it.
I've never smelt that. Okay. You've got a lovely receptionist.
Yeah, Amber.
Amber's
you'll
great.
meet Amber there. And, we're open the hours we say we're open, which is also a good thing. Sometimes you'll find a clinic that, advertises hours and they're not there. Come down and see us. I'm always happy to talk to people, chat with them. So if they have questions, I'll sit on the phone with you for 10 or 20 minutes if I have it, and go through what we offer and what we do, give you kind of a consultation over the phone to get started if that's what people want to do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put all of your information in the, down below in the comments. And
thank you.
And yeah, of course. And so anybody that wants to reach you, are you also on social media besides
social media at Copper Rock Clinic, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok? Don't do a ton of TikTok. It's cool, but it's like the young kids more.
We'll be having some reels for you to put on your TikTok.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
I know. I don't do it, but they'll do that for us. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I know you have a very busy schedule. You've got, a huge family, 6 kids.
Yep.
Your wife, who's your inspiration, keeps you on the right track.
100%.
You're not a beach bum. You weren't going to go surfing.
Love the beach. Still love it.
I do too.
That's my dream vacation every time.
Just sleeping at night. Oh, the sound of the beach.
Yep.
So yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah. It's
awesome.
been good.
Yay.
Thanks.
All right. I'll give you a hug. I'm a hugger.
Sure.